This last video is talking about some ways to customize your type and how it looks, specifically through using the Touch Type tool as well as creating outlines. So let's begin with the Touch Type tool. If you have some type, let's see, I'll just go in here, put in my name, holding my Command key so I can select there and zoom in. We saw before in a previous video that you can go in and customize the location of all of these characters using things like leading, your tracking, your kerning, the baseline shift sorts of things. Now there's actually a tool. If you click and hold on the type tool and go to the Touch Type tool, what this allows you to do is to go in and select a character and move it specifically, to slide things around. So click and choose it, start to move it around. Now, in essence, what's happening here is that we are controlling and adjusting basically the tracking, kerning, and baseline shift for all of these characters. If I can go back and try to highlight one of these, what's happened is that all of these things like the tracking, kerning, baseline shift have just gone all over the place. And this would have taken forever to try to do this by hand and customize it. But this Touch Type tool allows you to go in, click, and select a letter, and then start to move it. It's a little bit awkward, I think, at first, but that's something you can do to reposition, adjust, and change the location of where your characters are sitting. Now, another, well, somewhat related version of this, and this can be helpful from time to time as well. So if we take our type This is basically live type. And what I mean by that is that every time I touch a key on the keyboard, I'm putting in a character. I can go back, reinsert and type and adjust the characters as necessary. However, one thing that you can do is to go and take your type. I'm going to go up to type, and here it is, create outlines. I don't usually go up to the menu at the top to find it, but go to here, type, create outlines. The other way is to give it a right click and go to create outlines. So once we change this, we cannot go back and edit the type by inserting the cursor. However, when we click it, what we will notice is that the type is now as though it were drawn with the pen tool. Each character has its points, curves, direction handles, and everything available to it. And what this now allows us to do is to go in and edit and move it as though they were drawings with the pen tool or some other shape tool. What you'll notice with the regular selection tool is that it's grouped all together. That means everything is moving all at the same time. However, if we get our group selection tool, grab a specific character, it is now moving within that group and can be adjusted and changed and moved. If I have it selected, now go to the regular selection tool. I can rotate it. I can hold the Shift key and size it up larger and make adjustments. Go back to the regular and click on any of it, it's still as a group. With the direct selection tool, this can get kind of interesting because what you can do is you can go and get a point and move it. You can get a line segment and pull it somewhere else and start to do all sorts of unusual custom adjustments to your letters. And in fact, you go and get the pen tool, you could remove points, you can add points, and just like we're drawn with the pen tool, you could begin to edit and manipulate it in lots of different ways. Another aspect that might be interesting, let's see if we can get it to happen. We get the group selection tool. Now I have clicked the counter, the inside, and I'm going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard. And I'm clicking and clicking and shifting and moving that A inside of that A somewhere else. I could do that with the inside of the E also. And once it's kind of liberated, I think I can get in here. Is it going to take the whole letter? Yeah. I could get it, select only that part. Oh, it's gonna keep it together. We do it with the direct selection. Might actually have to ungroup them. Those things are grouped. You could go to Object, Group. Can we ungroup it? Nonetheless, you can get in there and edit and move those pieces around in an interesting fashion to customize your type. So there are plenty of times when you might want to adjust, tweak, or do something really custom that isn't necessarily typing with the type tools, the character window, and those sorts of things. It's actual manipulation of the shapes themselves. And one other place where this could be helpful and handy is that if you are working with a typeface that is custom, or that a person that you want to send it to maybe doesn't have that typeface, you can take all of the type and create outlines, and that way it's basically sending them shapes. I first noticed this working with a logo one time. Somebody gave me a logo to put into something I was designing, and it was words, but they weren't live type, they were actually outlines. So that way, if I had the typeface or not, it didn't matter. I could use that logo with the word mark and put it into the design, adjust it and edit, but only to the fact of like colors, size, stroke, those sorts of things. I couldn't actually edit the letters themselves by inserting the cursor. But that can sometimes be a way to allow you to create something, send it to somebody else, and they have what the type looks like by selecting your type previously and going to create outlines. So one more way to edit and work with your type.